सर्वभूतेषु विष्णुमायेति शब्दिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु चेतनेत्यभिधीयते नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमोस्तस्यै नमस्तस्यै नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः नमोस्तस्यै नमस्तस्यै नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु बुद्धिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु छायारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
Flame pure, ethereal type, a mighty face appeared, and lips moved by immortal words.
Encountered the Divine Mother again. I was just looking back at some of the other places where he's encountered the Divine Mother. So it seems first in Book 2, Canto 14, in the World Soul, he had seen when he was entering into the soul of the world, he had seen the figure of the deathless two-in-one. This is on page 295. A single being and two bodies clasped, a diarchy of two united souls, seated, absorbed in deep creative joy. Their trance of bliss sustained the mobile world. Behind them, in a morning dusk, one stood who brought them forth from the unknowable. So that seems to be the first. Towards the bottom of the page we see, and then in a sovereign answer to his heart, a gesture came as of worlds thrown away, and from her raiments lustrous mystery raised one arm, half parted the eternal veil. A light appeared, still and imperishable. Attracted to the large and luminous depths of the ravishing enigma of her eyes, he saw the mystic outline of a face. But then, at the end, he fell down at her feet, unconscious, prone. And after that, Asupati continues on his journey, and he goes into the unknowable, face their extinction in some featureless vast. The presence he yearned for suddenly drew close. Across the silence of the ultimate calm, out of a marvelous transcendence core, a body of wonder and lucency. As if a sweet mystic summary of herself, escaping into the original bliss, had come enlarged out of eternity. Someone came, infinite and absolute. A being of wisdom, power, and delight, even as a mother draws her child to her arms, took to her breast nature and world and soul. But here she's described more as a power and presence. Not so much a form. The formless and the formed were joined in her. Immensity was exceeded by a look. A face revealed the crowded infinite, incarnating inexpressibly in her limbs the boundless joy the blind world forces seek. Her body of beauty mooned the seas of bliss. So then, in the next canto, he undergoes this transformation, which seemed to me to be a supramental transformation. So he becomes one with all things. So I'm just talking in general about Canto 3, the House of the Spirit and the New Creation. But then in Canto 4, where we are now, he encounters her again. And in the beginning of the canto, Just a few lines down, it says, an influence had approached the mortal range. A boundless heart was near his longing heart. A mystic form enveloped his earthly shape. All at her contact broke from silent seal. Spirit and body thrilled, identified, linked in the grasp of an unspoken joy. Mind, members, life were merged in ecstasy. And then a little further down, we see towards the bottom of the page, the one he worshipped was within him now, flame pure, ethereal tressed, a mighty face appeared and lips moved by immortal words. Lids, wisdom's leaves drooped over rapture's orbs. A marble monument of ponderings shone a forehead, sight's crypt, enlarged like ocean's gaze towards heaven. Two tranquil eyes of boundless thought looked into man's and saw the God to come. So here she envelops him, is within his heart. He sees her and he speaks with her, and she speaks with him. And as we were reading last time, she describes, well, she says, you've come so far, but do not ask for more. Do not ask for the transformation of the earth you have achieved. Enjoy your achievement. What thou hast won is thine, but ask no more, she says. And then she describes mankind and its limitations. And towards the end of what we were reading last time, she says that he should continue his journey in the world, not to leave into the transcendent to help mankind. So that's kind of where we're at. She's saying that mankind is still tied, just you wait for the cycles of time to fulfill themselves, and then man will be delivered from this. So she's still describing man's limitations here. So we're at the bottom of 339, line 210. And Helmut, would you like to start?
His transience trembles with the Eternal's touch. His barriers seat beneath the Infinite's tread. The immortals have their entries in his life. The ambassadors of the unseen draw near. A splendor sullied by the mortal air. Love passes through his heart, a wandering guest. Beauty surrounds him for a magic hour. He has visits of a large revealing joy. Brief whiteness release him from himself, enticing towards a glory ever in front, hopes of a deathless sweetness lure and leave. His mind is crossed by strange discovering fires. Rare intimations lift his stumbling speech to a moment's kinship with the eternal word. A mask of wisdom circles through his brain, perturbing him with glimpses half divine. He lays his hands sometimes on the unknown. He communes sometimes with eternity. A strange and grandiose symbol was his birth, and immortality and spirit room and pure perfection and a shadowless bliss are this afflicted creature's mighty fate. In him the Earth Mother sees draw near the change, foreshadowed in her dumb and fiery depths. A godhead drawn from her transmuted limbs, an alchemy of heaven on nature's base.
Thank you. Let's pause there. Earlier, she had been describing man's limitations and then said that still he is pushed by fate to continue on his journey through the many lives. He cannot stop, he cannot end this journey. And here she's describing how the divine has entries into his life, is aiding, is gradually enlightening mankind. Love passes through his heart, a wandering guest. Beauty surrounds him for a magic hour. He has visits of a large, revealing joy. Brief widenesses release him from himself, enticing towards a glory ever in front. Hopes of a deathless sweetness lure and leave. So mankind is enticed to continue the journey through these touches of the divine.
But there are always the touches there that is described here.
These are the touches, yeah.
That means in life there's always this touch there from above, and it can be experienced.
Yeah. Yeah, he's describing how we're touched by the divine and through those touches led to continue our journey. We are attracted by that joy and bliss and love that we feel. There's this line, a mask of wisdom circles through his brain, perturbing him with glimpses half divine. So this mask is a form of entertainment of the 16th and 17th centuries in England, first with pantomime and dancing, and later with song and dialogue, presented in elaborate productions. So it's like this parade, this dancing of wisdom circling through his brain, perturbing him with glimpses half divine. So he also gets these insights, intuitions, flashes of vision of the infinite. He communes sometimes with eternity. And then he says, and immortality and spirit room and pure perfection and a shadowless bliss are this afflicted creature's mighty fate. So after describing all these limitations earlier, she says that he has this mighty divine fate awaiting him. And in him, mankind, the Earth Mother sees draw near the change, foreshadowed in her dumb and fiery depths, a Godhead drawn from her transmuted limbs, an alchemy of heaven on nature's base. So this alchemy is this kind of ancient science or magic in which they tried to transmute common metals or things into gold. But there might have been also kind of a mystical side of that tradition.
Alchemy is usually mixing two elements in chemistry and then making it into something more different.
Yeah, that earlier tradition of alchemy led to chemistry. It was kind of a forerunner.
But I'm saying that it's a mixture.
Yeah.
It's mixing.
Mm-hmm. Well, here there's kind of a mixing of heaven and matter, nature's base.
Mixing something in order to produce gold.
Right. That was the original alchemy. I think they often were trying to turn common metals like lead or things like that into gold. Huh? Yeah, I mean, I think there was a mystical tradition also behind it that they felt or assumed that there was a oneness behind those things and therefore one should be able to be transformed. Which is, in a sense, true, I think.
Some area they are trying, some people inside the thing, they are still trying those things.
With a supreme divine knowledge, or you can sign out also one example of many others.
Mm-hmm. Okay, B.
Adept of the self-born unfailing line, leave not the light to die, leave not the light to die the ages bore. Help still humanity's blind and suffering life. Obey thy Spirit's wide, omnipotent urge, a witness to God's parley with the night. It leaned compassionate from the immortal calm, and housed desire, the troubled seed of things. Assent to thy high self, create, endure. Cease not from knowledge, let thy toil be vast. No more can earthly limits pen thy force. Equal thy works with long, unending times. Traveler upon the bare eternal heights, tread still the difficult and dateless path. Joining the cycles with its austere curve, measured for man by the initiate gods. My light shall be in thee, my strength thy force. Let not the impatient Titan drive thy heart. Ask not the imperfect fruit, the partial prize. Only one boon to greaten thy spirit demand. Only one joy to raise thy kind desire. Above blind fate and the antagonist's powers, moveless there stands a high, unchanging will. To its omnipotence leave thy work's result. All things shall change in God's transfiguring hour.
Thank you. Yeah, I will. I would like to read a little bit from Shraddhavan on this passage. She defines some of the unusual words as well as giving a nice explanation. She says, "This is her adesh to him, her command." She says, "I am not asking you to merge in the formless and the supreme. You are an adept, an initiate, a highly developed being carrying a great deal of knowledge." She tells him that he belongs to a series of adepts, the self-born, unfailing line. This line, this heritage, is unfailing. It has not died out, and it will never die out. The adepts in this succession are self-born. They have not been compelled to be born. They have accepted birth by their own choice in order to help the divine work. The mother tells Aswapati, you belong to this self-born, unfailing line of avatars and vibhutis. And she asks him not to withdraw. Leave not the light to die, the ages bore. Do not let the light die, this light that the ages have been carrying, the light of aspiration and hope and knowledge. Help still humanity's blind and suffering life. Go on helping the blind and suffering life of humanity. Obey thy spirit's wide, omnipotent urge. This is the all-powerful urge of your spirit, your swadharma. It is what your true self wants to do. And this is what you should continue to do. She tells him, your spirit has been a witness. It has seen God's parley with the night. A parley is a negotiation between opposing parties, an attempt to work out an agreement. Aswapati's soul has seen that interchange between God and the night of unconsciousness, unreality, untruth. It has chosen, out of compassion, to lean down from its state of immortal calm. It has accepted to be human here on earth and to house desire, which is the troubled seed of things. Desire always brings some disturbance, but it is through that wanting and wishing and longing that things change and grow in the evolutionary world. She asks him, assent to thy high self, create, endure, accept, say yes to your highest self. Go on creating, go on enduring all the difficulties. Cease not from knowledge. Let thy toil be vast. She tells him, no more can earthly limits pen thy force. You have achieved so much that you are not bound by earthly limitations anymore. To pen means to fence in or to limit. Earthly limits can no longer restrict Aswapati's force, his energy and strength. She says, equal thy work with long, unending times. Let your work, your achievements be equal with the work of time. Let it go on forever. You are a traveler here upon these bare, eternal heights. But please continue to follow the difficult and dateless path, which seems to have no beginning and no end. The path that with its austere curve joins all the cycles throughout the eons of time. That curve has been measured for humanity by the initiate gods, the gods who are initiates. An initiate is like an adept, one who has the secret knowledge. Gods who have the secret knowledge have plotted this curve of destiny for the human race. We do not know how long it will take, and all the difficulties are still to be faced. But the mother asks Aswapati, please go on treading this path. And then she gives him a promise. I will be with you. My light will be within you, and my strength will be yours. And then she warns him, do not be in a hurry. There is something titanic in us which wants to get everything immediately. She asks him not to allow that impatient Titan to drive his heart. She wants him to be patient and tells him, ask not the imperfect fruit, the partial prize. The fruit of his effort and aspiration is not yet ripe. Whatever reward she could give him now would not be the real full prize that will come in the future when the time is ripe. And then she suggests an alternative. Only one boon to strengthen thy spirit demand. Only one joy to raise thy kind desire. She says, ask for only one boon. You have come all this way, you have met me. I know what is in your heart, but I cannot give you that. Ask for this one gift, to greaten thy spirit. Let your spirit grow ever greater, larger, wider, and desire only one joy, the joy of lifting up thy kind, your race, the human race. And then she again gives him the reassurance that above blind fate and the antagonist powers, moveless there stands a high, unchanging will. To its omnipotence, leave thy work's result. All things shall change in God's transfiguring hour. And she comments that there are antagonist powers that are hostile and try to prevent the divine fulfillment. But beyond the power of fate, the power of cause and effect or karma, and above these antagonist powers, there is a high, unchanging will which has initiated the entire manifestation. That is always there, and it is omnipotent, all-powerful. Leave the result of your work and your effort to that omnipotent will, which has set the whole course of the universe. Everything will change in the divine hour of God. Everything will be transfigured and turned into its most divine form. So we continue. Praveen.
August and sweet sang hushed that mighty voice. Nothing now moved in a vast brooding space. The stillness came upon the listening world, a mute immensity of the eternal's peace. But Ashwapati's heart replied to her, a cry amid the silence of the vasts. How shall I rest content with mortal days and the dull measure of terrestrial things? I who have seen behind the cosmic mask the glory and the beauty of thy face? Hard is the doom to which thou bindest thy sons. How long shall our spirits battle with the night and bear defeat and brute yoke of death? We who are vessels of a deathless force and builders of the Godhead of the race? Or if it is thy work I do below, amid the error and waste of human life, in the vague light of man's half-conscious mind, who breaks not in some distant gleam of thee? Even the centuries and millenniums pass. Where in the greyness is thy coming's ray? Where is the thunder of thy victory's wings? Only we hear the feet of passing gods.
Thank you. Let's pause. Aswapati doesn't passively accept the mother's command. He's the Lord of Tapasya, the forerunner in the evolution. So he says, "How shall I rest content with mortal days and the dull measure of terrestrial things, I who have seen behind the cosmic mask the glory and the beauty of thy face? Hard is the doom to which thou bindest thy sons." He's almost admonishing her, how you leave us in this desolation of life. How long shall our spirits battle with the night and bear defeat and the brute yoke of death? We who are vessels of a deathless force and builders of the Godhead of the race. So especially for him, how can he rest content with this deathless force in him? Why breaks not in some distant gleam of thee? Ever the centuries and millenniums pass. Where in the grayness is thy coming's ray? Where is the thunder of thy victory's wings? Only we hear the feet of passing gods. The avatars and the vibhutis come and go, and yet still the earth is subject to this death and suffering.
We who are vessels of the restless force, is this the question to Ashwapati as coming a death of the self-born unfailing life? Or is it,
Well, he is a vessel of the deathless force.
because he said, "Heart is a root which thou binds thy sons."
Yeah.
So it is a connection to the depth of the self-born unfailing life.
Yeah, I think it's referring to forerunners like him, perhaps. I mean, it seems to maybe carry over to humanity in general, but especially for him. I mean, in a sense, perhaps we are also vessels of the deathless force, but
I understood that there's some conscious need to be this.
yeah.
They're the forerunners that he talked about that come over, the architects of immortality. The whole passage, these are the ones that are here and come.
I think it can be interpreted in any way. It's also the forerunner of Bhavan as in essence, every divine being should is an avatar once they become conscious of themselves.
Yeah, at one point he refers to I who have seen behind the cosmic mask. But then he turns to the plural. So that may include then humanity.
There is no one fixed thing that will Savitri is like the common thing. But as you said, the consciousness. And it's not the one fixed thing, not the one. And one makes it is very different.
So sometimes he's using the singular, referring as, specifically to himself, and sometimes he's referring in plural. But he says, we who are vessels of a deathless force and builders of the Godhead of the race. So that suggests also a kind of forerunner.
It also is in the mask. There are two masks. Here is the mask of wisdom, just before, that's the play. And they're both I. So his mask of wisdom is going through his brain. And then here, you're seeing behind the cosmic mask. So because he has both those experiences, it's connected to all of us. Because that is the perennial wisdom.
Yeah. I mean, we are all facing the difficulty of life and the long, endless journey. So I think we continue. Devashish? Yeah, I think there's kind of two different masks. One is a mask that you wear, and this other mask was this more of a parade or something.
But it connects the two, see, that's the important thing.
Okay.
A plan in the occult eternal mind, mapped out to backward and prophetic sight. The aeons ever repeat their changeless round. The cycles all rebuild and ever aspire. All we have done is ever still to do. All breaks and all renews and is the same. Huge revolutions of life's fruitless gyre. The newborn ages perish like the old, as if the sad enigma kept its ride till all is done for which this scene was made. Too little the strength that now with us is born, too faint the light that steals through nature's lids, too scant the joy with which she buys our pain. In a brute world that knows not its own sense, thought ragged upon the wheel of birth we live, the instruments of an impulse not our own, move to achieve with our heart's blood for price, half knowledge, half creations that soon tire.
Thank you.
Specifically referring to every soul, every aspiring soul that rises up.
So Sri Aurobindo is kind of emphasizing this endless cycles of time that continue going on, but never there's a deliverance, never any true peace or bliss on the earth. The eons ever repeat their changeless round. If we think of the billions of years of this evolutionary journey through which we've come to this point, always continuing, repeating, maybe spiraling upwards to a higher rung, but still no true freedom or release. All we have done is ever still to do. There's always this repetition. All breaks and all renews and is the same. Even our physical lives, we build throughout a lifetime, create, and then it disintegrates, and then we have to start anew, in a new life, a new birth. And it goes on and on.
But isn't he referring, that's what we would call the problem of matter? Because all the other planes are there too. So at the same time, we'll have this 14 billion years for matter to become conscious, which is the ultimate play that is, the idea. By the light to do that. So we're 14 billion years into this thing. He's asking how many more billion years to get to the end of it.
Yeah.
But there is no end. Because this is a manifestation of the eternal plane. So that insight, I think he's trying to put it all out in a kind of a way that you can understand it.
I think he's complaining. I think he's saying it's going on so long. Let's have some real action here.
That's right. But see, I think he will come around and say we are having the real action.
And he's saying, well, till all is done for which this scene was made.
Yeah, the scene.
This is the scene. Yeah. But
the scene is only the play. And we're outside of the play in a sense.
But so far it's inadequate. Too little, the strength that now with us is born, too faint the light that steals through nature's lids, too scant the joy with which he buys our pain.
That's for the benefit of the story.
Okay, we'll continue.
A foiled immortal soul in perishing limbs, baffled and beaten back, we labor still. Annulled, frustrated, spent, we still survive. In anguish we labor that from us may rise a larger seeing man with nobler heart, a golden vessel of the incarnate truth, the executor of the divine attempt, equipped to wear the earthly body of God, communicant and prophet and lover and king. I know that thy creation cannot fail, for even through the mists of mortal thought, infallible are thy mysterious steps. And though necessity dons the garb of chance, hidden in the blind shafts of fate she keeps the slow, calm logic of infinity's pace and the inviolate sequence of its will. All life is fixed in an ascending scale, and adamantine is the evolving law. In the beginning is prepared the close.
Thank you. So Aswapati sees what is coming. He sees what is the purpose of all this labor and this anguish of development and evolution. In anguish we labor that from us may rise a larger seeing man with nobler heart. So he kind of almost makes a kind of prophecy there, or he foresees this divine man coming. And I know that thy creation cannot fail, for even through the mists of mortal thought, infallible are thy mysterious steps and the inviolate sequence of its will. Sri Aurobindo would say that he knew the supermind, the Superman would come because it was in the very nature of things. It was the inevitable outcome of this long process that has been going on. And behind it was the divine will. It's the working out of the divine will. So it cannot fail. And though necessity dons the garb of chance, sometimes we wonder, what if some accident happens? What if somebody pushes the button and it's all over? We worry about these things, that these chance events might ruin everything, the whole creation. But he's saying no. It's this inevitable sequence that is carrying out the will of the divine. It only takes this appearance of chance. It only wears that appearance. There's a slow, calm logic in this sequence. And even in its pace, even in the time that it takes. So he sees all that. And adamantine is the evolving law. It's fixed, it's hard, it's unyielding, unbending, unchanging. And in the beginning is prepared the close. The divine is there, involved at the in the seed of the evolutionary process. So it's inevitable that it will sprout into its fullness.
Would you say it says all life is fixed? So it's adamantine law. So it's moving, but what he's pushing for is conscious co-creation from the people involved to break out of the random ignorance that we're in, and we think nature is in charge. People have not, stepped up. So this is the story.
But I don't know that he's speaking to humanity. He's speaking to the mother for her to intervene.
But we're reading it.
Yeah. So we can participate. We must participate.
So we're in the story, but we're also out of the story. So to be clear, all of it is our role, I think.
He's going to speak about us next. Margaret.
This strange, irrational product of the Maya, this compromise between the beast and God, is not the crown of thy miraculous world. I know there shall inform the inconscient cells, at one with nature and at height with heaven, a spirit vast as a containing sky and swept with ecstasy from invisible founts, a God come down and greater by the fall. A power arose out of my slumber cell, abandoning the tardy limp of the hours and the inconstant blink of mortal sight, there where the thinker sleeps in too much light and intolerant flames, the lone, all-witnessing eye, hearing the word of fate from silence heart, in the endless moment of eternity. It saw from timelessness the works of time. Overpast were the leaden formless of the mind, overpowered the obstacles of mortal space. The unfolding image showed the things to come.
Thank you. So again, he's predicting what is to come. This Superman. At present, mankind is this strange, irrational product of the mire, this compromise between the beast and God. This is not the crown of thy miraculous world. This is not the end point. I know there shall inform the inconscient cells. Here he starts talking about the cells of the body. At one with nature and at height with heaven. So, a spirit, vast as the containing sky. So this spirit will inform the inconscient cells, a spirit which is at one with nature and with the heights of heaven. A spirit vast as the containing sky and swept with ecstasy from invisible founts. A God come down and greater by the fall. Perhaps this Superman consciousness comes down, unites with the physical cells, with the physical nature in the cells, uniting the divine above and the matter below. On January 1st, 1969, the mother sensed this Superman consciousness descending into the earth. Consciousness seeking instruments in which to manifest. She said it had the appearance of a God, a personal God, to come down, and very close to matter, she said. Well, that's another name for it. Overman, Superman. The God is coming down, the divine is coming down into matter, uniting with matter. That God is greater by that fall than it is in heaven above, in the realms of spirit above. When it unites with matter, it's even greater. It encompasses the whole material creation.
And that matter came from the God, just for fun to get back. That's the hide and seek and the blind man's love.
Right.
I also, my mom is something about my mom is painting from the ashram. And it's something related to this, what she said, that the soul comes down, and then the painting shows that when it's coming down, there is light, it is light. And then it gets completely immersed in darkness, and then from there it struggles to become, the color changes slowly down. And then from darkness it becomes more and more light. But when it comes out and goes back, it's more shining light. It's resplendent diamond light, so it's something refinement of whole diamond. So that's how the painting is.
He is also coming with the Sri Auroville said, all is not knowledge, it is experience.
No, let's not have the cross talk, please. Just one person speaking.
For me, it's also that comes to me that Sri Auroville said, it is here not the knowledge, it is the experience by which we know. In matter, we can have the experience. It's much more power, much more confrontations to overcome them.
Yeah, the experience is perhaps more profound, but also more stable when it's in matter, when it's in the physical. The supramental consciousness, one can maybe have glimpses of it on the heights of the consciousness, but it doesn't stay. It's when it comes into matter and fixes itself into matter that then it is here and it's here to stay. That's why they needed to bring it down into the body.
Into the body, because it is the ultimate thing seems to be the shadowless ananda. So, but it has to go through the shadows in order to, that's the divine smile or the divine humor, whatever you want to emphasize, in order that it happens. Because what's driving ultimately is divine love. But it's at another level. It's not at the seriousness of religion and mental. It's that, as you said, it's an experiential thing. That the human experience becomes the divine experience. Because the divine wants to have this experience. And the only way to do it is to do what's happening.
So this spirit that comes down into matter is swept with ecstasy. And then he says, a power arose out of my slumber's cell. So the power also comes from the cell. That supermind is also involved in matter, and it awakens.
And cells can be the quantum bits. That's what science is telling us now. You know, the energy field. All of this is the story. But actually it's not like this. But we can get there through this.
And then he sees what is to come.
In the body, whatever I have to do is not part of it. And it will be more permanent than
So he saw the unfolding image of the things to come. So let's start that description. Ramesh?
Yeah. Over past
No. A giant dance of Shiva.
Okay. A giant dance of Shiva tore the past. There was a thunder as of words that fall. Earth was overrun with fire and roar of death, clamoring to slay a word his hunger had made. There was a clangor of destruction's wings. The Titan's battle cry was in my ears. Alarm and rumor shook the armored night. I saw the omnipotent's flaming pioneers over the heavenly worlds which turns towards life, come crowding down the ember stairs of birth. Forerunners of a divine multitude, out of the paths of the morning star they came, into the little room of mortal life. I saw them cross the twilight of an age, the sun-eyed children of a marvelous dawn, the great creators with wide bows of calm, the massive barrier breakers of the world, and wrestlers with destiny in her lists of will, the laborers in the quarries of the gods, the messengers of the incommunicable, the architects of immortality.
Thank you. Sudanya. Let's just read through this because it's so beautiful.
I shall read into the fallen human sphere they came, faces that o'er the immortals glory still, voices that commune still with the thoughts of God, bodies made beautiful by the spirit light, carrying the magic word, the mystic fire, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy, approaching eyes of a diviner man, lips chanting an unknown anthem of the soul, feet echoing in the corridor of time, high priest of wisdom, sweetness, might, and bliss, discoverer of beauty's sunlit ways, and swimmers of lovers laughing fairy flood, and dancer within rapture's golden doors. The trade one day shall change the suffering earth and justify the light on the nature's face. Although fate lingers in the high beyond, and the work seems vain, on which our heart's force was spent, all shall be done, for which our pain was born.
Thank you. Next.
Even as of old man came behind the best, this high divine successor surely shall come. Behind man's insufficient mortal pace, behind his vain labor, sweet under blood and thirst, he shall know what mortal mind barely durst think. He shall do what the heart of the moral could not dare. Inheritor of the toy of human time, he shall take on him the burden of the gods. All heavenly light shall visit the earth thoughts. The might of heaven shall fortify earthly hearts. Earth deeds shall thought the superhuman's high. Earth seeing beaten into the infinite. Heavy unchanged weight till the imperfect world. The splendid youth of time has passed and failed. Heavy and long are the years our labor counts, and still the seal are firm upon man's soul. And weary is the ancient mother's heart.
Thank you. Let's pause there. So Aswapati has this vision of the future man that is coming. From his station of vision there where the thinker sleeps in too much light, and intolerant flames the lone all-witnessing eye, and hearing the word of fate from silence heart. From that poise he has this vision, first of a giant dance of Shiva, tearing the past, clearing the way for the new creation. There was a thunder as of worlds that fall. Earth was o'errun with fire and the roar of death, clamoring to slay a world his hunger had made. There was a clangor of destruction's wings. The Titan's battle cry was in my ears. Alarm and rumor shook the armored night. And then he sees the omnipotence flaming pioneers over the heavenly verge, which turns towards life, come crowding down the amber stairs of birth. The new souls coming into birth. The souls of the next creation. Forerunners of a divine multitude. Out of the paths of the morning star they came into the little room of mortal life, coming into birth. I saw them cross the twilight of an age, the sun-eyed children of a marvelous dawn, the great creators with wide brows of calm, the massive barrier breakers of the world and wrestlers with destiny in her lists of will, the laborers in the quarries of the gods, the messengers of the incommunicable, the architects of immortality. Here are the Aurovillians coming. Into the fallen human sphere they came. Faces that wore the immortal's glory still. Voices that commune still with the thoughts of God. Bodies made beautiful by the Spirit's light, carrying the magic word, the mystic fire, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy. Approaching eyes of a diviner man, lips chanting an unknown anthem of the soul, feet echoing in the corridors of time. High priests of wisdom, sweetness, might, and bliss, discoverers of beauty's sunlit ways, and swimmers of love's laughing fiery floods, and dancers within rapture's golden doors. Their tread one day shall change the suffering earth and justify the light on nature's face. And then he says, even as of old man came behind the beast, this high divine successor surely shall come behind man's inefficient mortal pace, behind his vain labor, sweat and blood and tears. He shall know what mortal mind barely durst think, inheritor of the toil of human time. He shall take on him the burden of the gods. All heavenly light shall visit the earth's thoughts. The might of heaven shall fortify earthly hearts. Earth deeds shall touch the superhuman's height. Earth seeing widen into the infinite. So this shall come, is coming, has come, perhaps. So we'll stop there for today.
the omnipotent flaming pioneer, over the heavenly world to which turns towards light, come crowding down the amber stairs of birth, forerunners of a divine multitude. Out of the paths of the morning stars they came into the little home of mortal life.
Thanks to Shri Aurobindo.